So as a motivator, let me just go briefly through the GDPR storyline and what happened so far. So as most of you might know, GDPR has been adopted in April 2016, and nothing happened until it was enforced in May 2018. And still nothing happened until approximately July 2020, when the European Court of Justice essentially ruled that the US Cloud Act is incompatible with GDPR. And that has sent shivers throughout the whole IT industry, and especially those that are dealing with cloud computing, because they were very much reliant on US cloud providers, both for software as a service and also for platform as a service. And basically, the EU Court of Justice ruled that the need of the US Cloud Act for tapping into personal data for national security reasons is incompatible with GDPR's right to privacy that it confers to EU citizens. And that ruling didn't ban use of US cloud providers. However, they said that additional safeguards are necessary before you're allowed to use them to store personal data. Now, the question, of course, arose, what exactly do you mean by US? Do you mean a US company? Do you mean jurisdiction? Do you mean geography? If I have my data in a EU, in a data that's located in EU, does that count? And this question was settled in March 2021, when basically a French court ruling said that although Amazon Europe has data centers in France and in Germany, that was what the court decision was about at that time. And although it's a company registered in Luxembourg, since it is a fully owned company by AWS US, it's basically a subsidiary of a company under US law. Hence, for that particular court ruling, they were considering pretty much as under risk of tapping into personal data according to the US Cloud Act. And things from there on have escalated at a rapid pace. So in June 2021, the European Data Protection Board came out with some good news that you're still allowed to use US cloud providers, but they also came up with some pretty bad news, which is pretty much that, well, in order to safeguard personal data, the encryption keys must be outside of US control, which essentially makes many of these platform services pretty much useless. So think, for example, about sending an email using Amazon simple encryption simple email service. The email address may be composed of a first name dot last name, so that's obviously personal data, and you need to encrypt that to make that opaque to AWS. So how exactly are you going to send an email using simple email service if the email address containing personal data is opaque to the platform provider? So it pretty much reduces the usefulness of the platform services that we have been so accustomed to and that we have been so happy to use and have increased our productivity so much. And of course, people were thinking like, yeah, this is just an ambition. It will never work. They will probably do something about it. But unfortunately, we noticed quite the opposite trend. So in November, just last year, 2021, some Swedish government agencies united around the topic of how to continue with digitalization of the Swedish public sector, but without using US services such as Zoom, such as Teams, such as Office 365, and so on. And they actually have a detailed report with a solution to this problem. And they seem to be taking it very seriously because I participated at a virtual conference of our regulator, the Swedish Data Protection Agency, and they pretty much hosted the whole conference on a Swedish provider owned by a Swedish company with Swedish hardware in Sweden, and so on. So the message is very clear that